Breathing in, I smile to my in-breath. Breathing out, I enjoy my out-breath. Dear respected teacher, dear noble community, dear beautiful community, I think we are still in the retreat. Tomorrow many of us will return to our lives, to wherever we come from. And just knowing the future, that in a day or two, we will be not here. So when you know the future will change, and you enjoy the present moment. You see, you're aware of that, and all of a sudden you cherish, you value that you're still here. We've been here almost a week, and so wonderful to see people sitting around doing nothing on the pond. I so much enjoy. There were two people laying in the front of the door right here, just like a seal on the beach. You know, and I dare not to wake them up because they were enjoying the sun, and you know, I know that's why we're here. Doesn't matter that's right there in front of the door. You can walk around, you know. But you know, I'm aware that this is what we need. We need people to like just, you know, take care of each other and lay there, enjoy the sun. In a couple of days, you might forget that you can do that. Right? You go back to your society, your family, your work, the city, and you forget that that's your right to rest, to take care of yourself, to, you know, put your arm on your friend and just lay there. It's kind of unusual to do that sometimes. We forget. Yeah. So it's just so beautiful. On the lazy day, I walk around and I see many people on their own, just sitting there, drinking a cup of tea. And that's exactly what all we need to do. For me, that's something I cherish of our time together. And I think we all somehow touch some of that. However little, we all got to rest, not run. Huh? So this is something very precious, something I look back when I was young, I didn't know how to do. I kept running, trying to achieve and trying to establish my career, have a social life, but always running. I didn't understand why. And you heard from my brothers and sisters, I was running away from my suffering. I suffered as a young man because I had a lot of conflict with my father. This was that's what made me who I am. Part of my family, how I grew up in my family. So I kept myself quite busy because I didn't want to look at my suffering. And when I first went to the retreat, it was the first time I cried. I tried to stop crying, but I couldn't. I remember that it was the first Vietnamese retreat. I didn't understand what they were chanting, but they were chanting Đầu Cành Dương Liễu. I know it's the chanting of the nectar of compassion. I didn't understand Vietnamese that time, not so good. But my mother knew that it would probably help me because I was quite pretty tense. And I remember sitting there in the audience and I was like, I was trying to stop crying, and I couldn't. That was my beginning of my path, coming back and seeing, wow, I have a lot of suffering. And it's kind of embarrassing, at first. But then you look around and you see, oh man, everybody's crying too. And it's a kind of, it's very healing. It's not the crying that's like, I think you know what I mean. So that was my my entry into why I became more interested in this way of being. Is not to be afraid of my suffering and to look at it. And this is, if I come in touch with that, I feel very close to the Buddha. A young man, 29 years old. He had a wife, a child, and he had also a lot of suffering. You believe that? Thai loves to remind us that the Buddha also was a young man who suffered. And I bet you he cried as well. Because, he saw his father, he saw his family and so on. And he knew that he also had a lot of stuff, resentment maybe, or anger, or he didn't know how to be free, how to not be reactive and so on. So I imagine, so I feel very close when I reflect the Buddha not as a, enlightened with a circle in the back, on the big temples, on the mountain, and everyone lights incense. But I like to imagine the Buddha as young, probably long hair, kind of hippie looking. In India that time, you kind of. So I imagine him trying, like we are now, trying to look at what's going on. And that inspires me more. That really motivates me. It feels very close. And this is our teacher's work. Our teacher really wanted us to really come in touch with the Buddha as a young person, as a human being who had suffering and who found a way to deal with it, to handle his suffering. He also found a way to touch happiness and to touch freedom. And it's possible. I think in this week you taste a little bit of it, of what it feels like to actually, God, be free from your all these flies in our head that won't go out. This week we were able to open a door, a window, and some of the flies flew out, right? Like, oh, you ever see a fly stuck on the window? And you try to help the fly out, but it doesn't want to go out. It just wants to go back to the window. You're like, come on, You take a paper and you go like this, and then it goes, and it makes this noise, huh? When I do writing on my table, sometimes I leave the fly there and I watch for a while, and it does get tired. You ever pay attention? And there's spiders all waiting. So in our head, this week we got to touch a little bit of what we call flylessness. Yeah? It's a kind of lightness, ease, kind of freedom from our constant storytelling and reacting and so on. So this is a kind of freedom from our mental discursion. This is a kind of freedom that's very healing as well. Because we have opinions, we have many ideas, we have a lot of judgment, a lot of resentment, and they're like flies. They make us lose a lot of energy in the daytime as well as at night. So this week, just recognize that you, and please remember that it is possible to be free from all these ideas that you have, and just like jai, just enjoy walking and enjoy eating, enjoy sitting, drinking a cup of tea, being with your friends. So this is what is happening, and this is what the Buddha had touched. Of course, he looked deeply on many other things. And today, I was, asked to share about like aspirations. Also share about passion, how to deal with passion. Passionate, right? Young people need to have passion. We need to have a raison d'être. Oui, raison d'être. Right? In English, they even have that raison d'être. What is d'être? D'être, yeah. Être or non-être. Being or non-being, right? Raison d'être. Wow. What's your reason of being? Wow. That's a beautiful phrase. I learned that a long time ago and I didn't know it was French. Raison d'être. And also talk a little bit about free will. These are our favorite topics, by the way. As monks and nuns, this is what we spend our time to look at. It's kind of strange, huh? We're bald, we're brown, we look all the same. It looks like we're actually, right? How free are we, We look all the same, we're kind of back and forth. Doesn't look like we have a life, right? We don't go to parties. There was a big party over there. Did you guys hear? Yeah. Woo! It was very tempting, my brother. He told me he couldn't sleep. He kept rolling back and forth, wondering if he should join the party. No, he didn't say that. He said he couldn't sleep. But just to share that, that is our favorite topic. To be passionate, to be inspired, to have aspiration, and to be free. Someone yesterday asked our free will, right? To be free is exactly what we do every day. We ask ourselves, this is why we're here. We remove everything so we can look at the real issue. Are you free? You might not believe that because you need to live here a little bit, and this is what we do here in Plum Village. Is to always remind ourselves, what are we doing here? What is the most important thing to do? Where we need to be. There's a lot of things out there, but these are to share with you. And when we talk about aspiration, we talk about volition. Volition is also a food that we eat. Sister Langim shared about the 4 nutriments. These are things that nourish us. And the life of a monk or a nun, of any person who's inspired, needs to know what your volition is. Volition is a kind of like your desire, but it's a kind of desire that makes you have energy. That's why it's called a food. It's a mental. And she gave a few examples, but I just want to share with you, like an artist. I studied art and ceramics and painting. When you have an idea, an artist has an idea and wants to express it, he or she can like go nights, right, without sleep, maybe forget to eat. Where does he or she get the food from? Doesn't eat, maybe drink a little bit, but he's making her painting. He's inspired, you see? So volition is like that. It is, and when you find that, it is like precious. So we need to know. We need to know what is the purpose of being human, to be on this planet. Is it to work, raise a family, have a nice hot car, 2 houses, $1 million in our bank account? What is your volition? You want to be famous, YouTube, maybe Netflix. What do you want? You want fame? You want to be wealthy? You want enjoyment? You want a good life, secure, so when you retire, you can enjoy. These are the things that I was, brainwashed. Someone said they come here, they're afraid they might be brainwashed. And you have to be careful, because we're very good at brainwashing you. So be careful, okay? Don't believe everything I say. This is called reverse psychology, yeah? But this is very important for monks and nuns, not to just follow our teacher. What the books say, we follow. This is not why we're here. So mindfulness helps us really, you have to look. And as Sister Langim said, to look, you have to have a mind that's clear, right? You have to understand your mind in terms of how you react to emotions, how you perceive. You have to understand how your mind works. If you don't know how your mind works, what kind of instrument is it to look at your volition, know what you want? That's why you're confused. You're always changing direction. It's because the mind is not still, doesn't know how it works. So understanding our mind is crucial. This is, not to talk about love, because it moves into emotion, even more difficult. But knowing how our mind works, when you look at someone, all of a sudden you have a judgment. You have to know that. It's perception. You see them, they look a little different. And you have to see your mind doing that. So to know really what is your aspiration needs some tending, huh? And it is something you need to take care of like a plant. And this, I think you also have tasted here, a little bit of what your heart feels like, what it wants. But when you go back to the city, it's very different. It can change. So you have to know that. You're in this environment now, everyone accepts going slow, for instance. Everyone accepts. And when you walk into the hall, you're very respectful and quiet. But out there, they don't respect that. So you will be affected. I walked in and there's a woman next to me, and she bowed. And I felt a lot of respect for her. In the morning sitting, she come in. And I remember as a young person, I didn't learn how to do that. And I just felt so happy. That morning I was sitting and I was thinking of her. She affected me. Because I walked in after, I almost bumped into her, because she stopped, and she bowed like that. And it's like, I don't know who taught her, but I felt in her a kind of respect. It wasn't religious, but I really felt her energy of just respecting everyone else as they were sitting here. And I have to say that when I was young, I didn't respect so many things. I actually doubted many things and very suspicious of many things and very critical, very quick to not going there. Don't want to be part of that. And it's here that I remember the retreat that I first learned, to join my palm. I used to do it in the temple, and we do it more quickly. I grew up Buddhist in my family, and you go to the temple, my mom say, bow to the monk, In Vietnamese culture, it's like you just do it, It's like part of your culture. But I remember, and it's only after I met my Thai that he shared with me, when you put your hand like this, your heart, you bow, and it's like, a lotus. It's like a lotus, right? But I remember as a young monk, I learned how to do that. A lotus for you, a Buddha to be, or a lotus to you, a beautiful human being. So we had to learn this as a young monk. I hated it doing that at the beginning. It's so, because it reminded me of my parents, my mom telling me, bow to the monk, But I remember, learning to nourish my respect. So I wasn't bowing to my older brother or to Thai, but learning. It's kind of like when you show respect, you begin to respect yourself. We had to learn to bow to the cushion. And I go, are you kidding me? A cushion? I learned this in class, and I tried, I came here to try out things. So I begin to, and I realized that, wow, the cushion helps people. The cushion helps people sit still. The mat, it helps people from having aching knee. So this is the way my rational, I can respect you. You see? It was very basic, I was like, I had to make it, force myself to have a good reason to do something. I didn't like to just do something. And so slowly, I felt something happening inside of me. I became much more careful. And the one that was even hard for me, and we never did this in our family, is that when you sit together, when we sit together to have a meal, the monks, and after we do the Phap contemplation, everyone bows to each other before they eat. I hated doing that. I resisted. I was like, God, get on with it, Just eat, Like, it's already long, the 5 contemplation, and it's like, and then there were some brothers, I remember, they bowed to everyone. I sit next to them, like, oh, yeah. So I try too. So I bow, and I realize it's kind of nice, to have eye contact with people you're eating before you eat. It's kind of like, we know you're there, we value you. I share with you my struggle in the beginning of from critical, suspicious, kind of nothing matters really, everything is okay, to slowly having to learn, to walk in the meditation hall. This is a sacred space. You don't go, crazy in here. And I learned how to begin, and I was trained as an architect to build space, to build structure, right? I didn't even know that kind of way of being, to respect this silence, and you don't want to disturb that. Even I try to put my robe down so it doesn't disturb the one next to me. It's like very foreign, yeah? It is very healing. The more you pay attention and you respect other people's things, you begin to have that inside. So that was a kind of beginning of awareness of something else, something more that I never knew growing up in the city. So we'll listen to a sound here, and let us all nourish that beautiful sound. This retreat, the Dharma teacher have been really challenged because we were strictly asked to stay within 1 hour, right? Cannot pass 1 hour, because they said young people, your attention span is, did I say young people? Everyone now, I think, in our internet age, our attention span is shorter. So I'm aware of, being up here. I tend to like to tell stories. Huh? So our aspiration, our volition, our raison d'etre, our desire, we need to know what that is. And that doesn't have to be save the environment, save the planet. It could be simply enjoying raising a family, enjoying, it could be many levels. Huh? It could be on an individual level, it could be on a family level, raising a child. It could be on a community level, building community, building connection, job-wise, career-wise. So we need to look at that and know how to be in that. So the practice will slowly reveal to us. I just want, in terms of volition, there's 2 aspects to remember. One is our daily concern, our food, our clothing, our shelter, things that you need. You need that basic stuff, right? That's like, but that's not going to be it. You also need the ultimate concern. What is it that makes that artist in you wake up and feel, we need that as a food, as a human being. Plants, flowers, they turn towards the sun and they grow every day. There's a plant outside, I look, every day it's giving leaves, even till the end of summer. As human beings, we are a living thing. And our volition, our desire, this is what they call inspiration. They call it also thriving. They call it. We also need to thrive. So this is very important to remember. There's daily concerns, these kind of, yeah, And if you're going to get married or you're going to join a couple, you also need that. If you just keep it on the level of daily concern, it implodes. You get kind of tired after the second year, the third year, because the relationship doesn't have an ultimate concern, an aspiration. I've met many couples, and the ones that are healthy, they have a desire, each one of them. They might not have the same desire, but they help each other realize their dream. That's a healthy relationship. If the relationship is just me and you walk around, I hold you, you hold me, I hold you, I hold me, it does not last. Yeah? You become protective. Well, why are you looking at him? Why are you looking at her? It will implode. And I share with you from having done many consultations. It implodes. So I share you now so that later on you can not say no one told me. We need, as human beings, we need that kind of food. Is a volition. It is need to have a thing that make us, and I think you know this, and this is why it's maybe touching suffering and so on, because you haven't spent time to really look, or maybe your mind is not clear enough, still enough, to actually really know, and you're just being pushed by your parents, society, or your own self to do something. It might not be that you want to be wealthy. It might be just want to drive the bus with the kids to go to school and be happy doing a simple job. But something tells us, oh, I have to be a famous musician. But really, is it you? Really? You have to have time. That's why it's important to know how to clear our mind, rest our mind, so we really can feel our heart. And this, as young people, without you hearing this, leaving here, it wouldn't be right. So remember, define your, that is, and it doesn't have to be grand, huh? Not save the world, save the planet. It could be whatever that makes you feel, I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to be a famous architect. I wanted to save Los Angeles and make it a green city. You come out of college, you're like very, what do you call it, idealistic, huh? So your volition also changes. It's like a plant, huh? It's not like, do you? Yes, I do. And it stick. When you commit, you have to take care of the commitment. It's like aspiration. You commit to it and you take care of it and you nourish it. So those of you getting into relationship, yes, I do. And then you go, but you've changed. You're not the same person as when I say, yes, I do. Of course. Relationship and commitments change. This is also important to know. So don't fix it. It's like 5 years ago, you're not the same as because you were both changing, and we need to take care of it. So the relationship is also growing. So if we get attached to my relationship as it is now, oh honey, you're always so lovely to me, sweet, yeah. And our body is changing. We're looking a little, So you have to also look at the truth, huh? Your relationship, your commitment, those are living things, and you need to take care of it. Oh, finally, I had to get that out. Sorry, right? Because I was in a relationship, I was fixed on, it's like, you're not the same person as when I met you. You demand them to be exactly like how you like them. And so relationships, be careful with that. And please remember I say that don't believe everything I say. You got to go home and try it yourself. I'm just sharing with you because I have the mic now. And I'm trying my best not to be, it's just, we look at things here. And I'm sharing from my own experience of, I reflect on, I had 3 girlfriends, not all at the same time, but it's different now, I hear. It's changing, and I need to man, I'm so traditional. Now it's like, couples are agreeing to have many couples. Multitasking. Huh? So it's, we're having to change our own view, right? So, next thing I wanted to share about is passion. To have, this is also important, but in passion we need to be careful. What I learned from, I was an architect, artist, hang around with artists and filmmakers. We partied a lot. My mother thinks I was a good student, studied well. She sometimes shares about me. It's like, that's my son, he's a monk. He's so, he loved to study. He went to the library all the time. And I go, I take a breathe. Oh, yes, Mom, yes. I was your good boy. But we all know, our parents has a view and we have a view. I'm sharing this to my mom. So, but now I see that's part of life, right? Children need to sneak around and do things. So passion, we need to remember a few things that help me. So take it as it is. I avoided suffering. I didn't want to deal with it in my family. So I was in and out of the house. I didn't want to look at it. Every time it came up, and I think some of you are starting to touch that in our groups and so on, when it comes near, our eyes get a little, so this is something we need to look at, yeah? So the other one is we also seek pleasure. We seek, this is something very important to know, that we like to be, in terms of food, but in terms of mind, is the same. And for me, growing up in Los Angeles, that was a suffering. So passion, it burned a lot of my energy. And this is something I didn't know. And that's why my mind was not very clear, and my energy was quite, it was not so peaceful or stable. I was very reactive. I was like, what do you call a person who had a chip on their shoulder? I looked very peaceful, maybe back then, but I was very easily inside, is a kind of reactive, very judgmental, very critical. And so this is a kind of, because it uses your energy, and it's what you, avoiding suffering, seeking pleasure. Third one is you ignore the goodness of suffering. That's something it really blew my mind when I first learned it. The goodness of suffering. You ignore the goodness of suffering. We want to run away from suffering, but actually suffering, now that I've learned the practice, is actually quite informative and quite healing if we learn how to be with our suffering. There was a young man who fell during sitting meditation or something, touching the earth, or it just It was like the beginning of the retreat. I told him next time wear a helmet. Meditation is dangerous. You know, next time you sit, you're Christian, you have to wear a seatbelt. You know, people around him said he fell like this, and he cut his eye. He's still here. I hope he does not get embarrassed, but I just want to share that he lay there, and everyone put their hand on him and smiling. I mean, normally it's a suffering. It's like, so bad it happened to you before the retreat, so on. And it's like, and I asked him, so how are you? You feeling okay? And he smiled. Amazing, huh? And I have a feeling it's because everyone around him was like, just loving, strangers. Actually, I thought they were friends with him, but they're like two, another young woman, another young man, just caring for him. And he smiled. His, big cut right here looked like a third eye. Not the one here. It was here. And I said that. I was like, you got the third eye now. You don't need to do yoga anymore. And he smiled. And he's like, where are we? Plum Village? How long you been here? Okay, you're good. And he smiled. And then they went to the hospital. He gets stitched, 3 or 4 stitches, and he came back. And I can tell that they came. We were having lunch, and they asked to join. And I see there's something change in him. You see, the fall, it can be really good for you. Like I did fall before the retreat. 2 days before you all came to, when we had the rain, and I broke my rib. So it's a kind of little pain. But it helped me actually. It's every time I walk around or go to lay down or move, so in a way it kind of helped me be aware. So that little suffering, a little pain, is it helps you become less quick. You're just moving around. When you're healthy, you're very, confident, right? Sometimes very arrogant too. But when you get hurt or you're sick, you're actually very humble. You notice that? You're very careful. So sometimes suffering is like that. When we suffer, it makes us very careful with ourselves and with other people. That's just one example of the goodness of suffering. And the fourth one is we ignore the danger of pleasure seeking. This, I think you have to learn. I think you're already beginning to see. And this is something I didn't know. And that's why I feel that I need to share this. As a young person, I didn't know the danger of pleasure seeking. It goes from pleasure, desire, lust, craving, and then, as you see in the news now, perversion. So it might not be your case, but you need to look at what it does. Pleasure seeking. So this is something you might not agree with or want to look at, but it's what I woke up to, living in a very metropolitan, very modern city. And this is what destroyed my energy. So my mind is not bright. I'm not very clear-minded. I don't know what is left and what is right, because I spend all my energy there. This is what we in meditation we call leaking. We lose our energy. So don't ask why you don't feel positive about energy, because there's something leaking. Something that is taking your energy. And in meditation, after meeting the Sangha and the practice, I look at everything with energy now. So we learn to protect it, our energy. And this is one way we lose it, is we seek and we lose ourselves. So you talk about freedom, this is where we lose most of our freedom. Because it can never end that pleasure. And that is not just sensual pleasure or sexual pleasure. It could be many things. As you know, if addiction, huh? So pleasure seeking here could be an ego pride as well. Those who are in leadership or in a position of power or guiding others, you're the manager, the boss. Pleasure seeking is also, go do what I say. Or you have many of them under you. You know, that's also a kind of, you understand? So it's not just tongue and flesh and sexual energy, but it's also seeking it in terms of ego, pride, arrogance, ideas as well. We hold on to it. Anybody touch my idea, so this kind of seeking pleasure is a satisfying your what we call I guess in the Western psychology it would be the ego, or in Buddhist we call it the manas. This is very important for us to, I just share with you just a little taste. I hope you learn more about this. It's very, very important in terms of understanding the mind. This is how we lose energy. Okay, we avoid suffering. We seek pleasure. We ignore the goodness of suffering. And we ignore the danger of pleasure seeking. Those four. Because they are very prominent in our society now. This is how they master your mind. Everything is, you have a bank account, easy to click. It's so convenient now. You can do it with a flick. You can get it. So you talk about, that's why I'm sharing this. It's important for us as a young generation to know. And who's in the internet world, and you know, designing, and who's in advertising? Anyone? No one in advertising? A few? Oh, you're afraid to raise your hand. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. But do your research. You know, there's a lot of science in this involved. Yeah, they do subliminal stuff now. It's not. They know where you are. So that's why I'm sharing with you that these things, they are learning it, so they master you. If you don't understand how it works, see how this relates to freedom, free will? This is a revolution. So wake up is not like, oh, get together, it's a retreat in Plum Village. Wake up is, look at your world, man. Look what you're following. So you think we're kind of following. Look at society, what is following. I'm sorry, it's a little biased. But I invite you to look at those four things. The last one is we ignore moderation. This is, for me, I struggle with it. You know, we only eat in moderation. You know, so I tried it, eat the small bowl and very good monk, moderation. And then one week, my brother and I said, "Man, forget this moderation stuff." We went in the kitchen, we got the big bowl, because we want to see, you know, what happens if you eat a lot. Yeah. And my brother is so kind, you know, they ignore you, you know, because you're just, you know, a new monk trying to challenge everything, right? But look into moderation. The more you have, the less freedom. The more you have, your happiness decrease. Don't trust me, look it up. There's already a lot of research, I'm not going to write it. This is what they're finding with neuroscience and so on. It's something like, an Indian guy 2,500 years ago just sat under a tree and said, dude, come on. And now they're saying, whoa, look what happens when you seek pleasure. You get addicted. We have charts to tell you. So it's really, there's actually an article in, was it something Mind, Scientific Mind or something like that? I read many years ago. It's great. At the end of the article, they have a chart and it was like 3 long article on scientific research on positive psychology, happiness. And at the end of the article, they say, now when you're happy, we have conclusive evidence that you are happy. It's lame, huh? I'll never forget reading that, It's like, now when you're happy, we can prove that you are happy. That's what it's saying, It's like, we are so data-driven and like science-driven. It's like very, anyway, this moderation, and just test that, right? You have, my own experiment is, I have 1 T-shirt, 2 T-shirt, 3 T-shirt. There's one that's kind of like ripping, but I really love it. It's soft. It feels good. You get many T-shirt. It changes the way you value your T-shirts. And this is one example. Another example I like to give is when you have a lot of soap. I always use, a big bar of soap. Those who use soap, when you first get a brand new soap, you're very wasteful, right? But do you remember when it's like only a little, and you're like, how many of you have felt that? Yeah. Oh, because this is it, and you have your whole body to go, and you have to, and it drops on the floor, and you're like, oh, right? The happiness of saving it from the drain. Anyway, I woke up, and I was like, oh my God, and then so I remember when I had little, so I remember like. This was when I just first met the practice. That's why it's so alive in me. I remember first getting the new bar of soap. I didn't bow to it, but I used it more carefully. You see, moderation, it helps protect you. Because the more you have, you lose respect and you take it for granted. The same thing with relationship. Don't think that having many relationships is good for you. So this is a wake-up call that our society is so stressing on more. I learned from my teacher, and I'm so grateful that he taught me, take a little less than you need. That is the secret. I was like, really? And I tried it. Try it yourself. Don't believe me. Take a little bit more than you need. Don't sit there because it's the best spot. Sit somewhere else. Don't, do a thing that is, don't satisfy completely. I know it sounds weird, yeah? But you try it out. It's amazing. I remember trying it out with the mountain, I want to get to that mountain, that top, that very top. Yeah? And I remember, this is a long story, and I don't need to go there. I sat on a rock lower, and I felt so happy. The wanting to go to the top of that, and then you see, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another top. I was a hiker, and I love to get on top of things. Sit there, and you're like, I made it, yeah. It's such a ego thing, yeah? Also a kind of manly thing, top. But after I practiced, I realized that, and I began to enjoy the actual enjoying that. Oh, wow. That you're already there. You don't need to go to the top. Anyway, I share with you, I don't know if it links, but it's about not getting more, not being the best, not being on top. That's something I had to get out there, okay? Because I was trained like that. And it is a prison. You compare and you gotta, and it is, you lose your freedom. You talk about free will, you think you're free? Just the fact that you want is already, you lost your freedom. So in Buddhism, let go. In society, more. Get things, ideas, you, another one. In Buddhism, is release. Yeah? Let go. You like your idea? You think you're right? Yes, I'm right, but I can let go. That's the hardest thing I learned, I tell you. And I still struggle with it now. Oh, I'm right on this one. That's one that was, you want to really challenge, come here 1 year and you will know. Join a cooking team and you will get good training. If you have a big pride, ego, come here 1 year. And the cooking team will train you. That's one, right? Getting right. I know my time is up. I just wanted to share. Anyway, I'll end here because there's so many things I want to share with. I still consider myself young, so you're probably feeling that energy. And I share it not to say that these are the things, avoid suffering. You're going to go through it, and it's great. The practice of mindfulness helps us accept that. So please know that we are here. Know that you've been here 1 week, and you were able to touch a kind of peace. And it's possible. And doing it together as a community, this is what our teacher's vision is. So please help us create more groups, find a sangha, build a community, a little group in your house, in your apartment, because our generation need this. We need places like this in the city, and every week, every day if possible. So we keep each other. We are our own seatbelt. Yeah, we don't have seatbelt, so we need to hold each other. Because our generation is gonna, as you know, just observing the weather already, what's happening around the world. So we're aware that it's just not us suffering. Mindfulness is also aware in this present moment. We can touch the planet, and it makes us cherish our peace here, because we're not being bombed on. We cherish this present moment because we have enough to eat. We cherish because the water level is not rising. So these are things that are reality for our generation. And we can only do this when we have each other, as you know, as you experience here. So our teacher, he's been building Sangha for his whole life. And this I wanted to share with you. Help build a group and sit together. And those who take the 5 mindfulness training, oh wow, 4 rows all the way back there, that makes our teacher very happy. Not because you're now Buddhist, You're not. It's just now, some of you, even you take 1 mindfulness training, you are having the volition, you see? And we need to help you by having groups to friends like that. So the 5 mindfulness training, the Sangha, this is a way out for us. is that we do it together. So thank you for listening and laughing together and helping me be not so serious. So we'll listen 3 sounds of the bell here and nourish our togetherness. We are still here in Plum Village together with beautiful people, not afraid of suffering. Beautiful people who know how to nourish peace, nourish respect, nourish sacredness, nourish true love.